Let me hit record.
Okay.
So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kara Wenzel. I actually would not have worn glasses tonight, but I forgot we had a team call. I usually look much cooler than this and younger. So tonight, Sarah Littleton is speaking on our call, and Sarah and I are success partners. And it's such a joy to have a success partner in your life. Both Sarah and Ariel are great people in my life that offer me a lot of support and mentoring. So I really recommend to you, if you do not have a success partner, to get one, because they give you a lot of help and support when you need it in your life and become such a family to you. So I asked Sarah tonight to talk. Actually, Ariel and I had been conversing about our team calls, and I had said I wanted to have Sarah talk on one, and Ariel really had brought up the topic of having Sarah talk about what she does in person, because Sarah, I think, is you would never think she was a salesperson. You know, she's very confident and cool in person. She listens well. She's not necessarily someone that has to talk a lot about herself. And I actually probably think that is something that makes Sarah very successful. Sarah is also a Beachbody Live instructor and a personal trainer. And so I just wanted her to talk to us about how she talks to people in person about the business and what is successful for her. So Sarah, I'll mute myself and let you take it away.
All right. Thank you. I do agree about success partners. Just a little side note on that. I was looking back over the course of my whole business, since I started, and honestly, the best I've ever done, and I'm ranking this in terms of my happiness with my business, how comfortable I am, at the levels that I've reached so far, and how I got there, and even my priorities in line and everything. I have done my very best and been my best since we've been working so closely together. So having that person with you, it's just huge. It's no joke. It's not just getting on a call and hey, how you doing this week? Okay, baby's cute, right? Everything's great. No, you're pushing each other. It's it's just a relationship that you can't discount. So get a success partner if you don't have one. Okay. So that was a really good intro. I feel like you know a lot about me already. But I have been a coach for about 2.5 years. And I didn't start as a personal trainer or a fitness instructor. I was actually a Spanish interpreter before this, so nothing at all to do with fitness aside from my own. But I just kind of fell in love with other people's fitness, and I never thought that I would do that because I just was always focused on myself. But when I first started, I started as a way to make money, and I started as a way to be home with my kids, because I missed them. I would cry on the way to work. I'd be stressed. We just didn't have the family life that I envisioned for us having 2 kids. We were happy, we were fine, things were okay financially, but we just wanted more. We wanted more quality time. We wanted to make more of the time that we did have, and we were just stressed, and I think that a lot of parents can relate to that. So, being open about that really speaks volumes to keeping that back, because some people want to hide that and they're kind of embarrassed, but it's okay to be stressed. It's okay to share that with people, because that's how you relate. But I'll get into that later. So I started with that, and I actually didn't even sign up to be an instructor initially. I was still kind of finding my way. And I think in that first year as a coach, you're really just finding your way. You have to go through the bumps and the bruises. You have to fail so you can fail forward. If you never take that leap of faith and you never fall flat on your face, you don't know how to get back up. So that's if you take anything from this call, step out of your comfort zone and fall flat on your face. Okay. I want everybody to fall. Okay. Because that's truly how you get better. So I'm just going to give you some tips about how to kind of talk to people in person. I know sometimes, most of the time, our conversations are done via messages, even texting sometimes. And even getting on that voice message feature on Facebook can feel scary, because what do you say? What if you stutter? What if you stumble? I'm here to tell you, who cares if you stumble? Who cares if you stutter? People want to know that you're real. So if that could be a baby step for you in terms of speaking to someone one-on-one and letting them hear your voice. Even a phone call is something that you could do if you're not ready to do a face-to-face, invite someone to coffee type invite. So I'm just going to get into it so we don't waste anybody's time. Um, First, I want to say, let me look at my notes. Make sure I don't skip anything. I heard this on a call that I was listening to the other day, and I think it was Michael Olson, and she was saying that when you have a negative emotion tied to an action, you end up not wanting to do it, period. So inviting is scary, and that's one of those vital behaviors that people save for last. They shy away from. They say, "Oh, I'll do more the next day," because it's scary. Like nobody wants to get shut down, and nobody wants to feel rejected. So the first thing I want you to do is take your emotion out of it. We are emotional people, we are emotional beings, and you have to truly care about the person that you're talking to and want to genuinely help them. But when it comes down to inviting, it's a numbers game and you have to take the emotions out of it. You have to. They're not saying no to you. They're not rejecting you as a person. They are saying, no, I'm not ready for this. What you're putting in front of me, these tools, I'm not ready to use them. So that's the first thing you have to get out of your mind is that emotional connection to their answer, okay? Because their answer doesn't affect you. You're still going to be a coach. You're still going to go on your mission and you're still going to go about your day, right? It's not going to take you down because you're going to hear no, and you have to get used to hearing no and know that that's a not yet. 9 times out of 10, that's a not yet. They're going to come back to you at some point. They're going to be ready eventually, but you have to love them where they are and meet them on their terms. Okay. And that's whether it's face to face or whether that's a virtual message, you have to accept that. And that's probably like, at least for me, that was one of the hardest things to accept was that, well, nobody wants to join my challenge group. Like, do I suck? Like, does nobody want to follow me? You know, you have those nasty thoughts and you really just have to put it out of your mind. Okay. And take that emotion out of it. Okay, so I have 6 tips for you. So the first one is if you're face to face and you're, you know, in an atmosphere where you're like, say you want to become an instructor or you join a swim club or whatever it is, the atmosphere that you're in, learn their names. Know the names of the people you were talking to. This is huge. You know, like preschool, you know, or what a school, whatever age your kids are, whatever situation you're in and you're meeting a lot of new people, it might take you a few weeks, but make a conscious effort to learn people's names. How often do you go somewhere and it's like a month or two in and somebody doesn't know your name? How does that make you feel? Like you don't feel valued. You don't feel like they're excited to see you. Maybe they are. Maybe they're terrible with names. I am very bad with names, but you have to make a conscious effort to remember, whether you repeat it to yourself, whether you go write it down right away, jot down a few notes about that person as soon as you get in the car, after you drop your kids off, whatever you need to do, make sure you learn like as many names as you can. Okay. That just makes people feel like you care, like that simple act of feeling valued of somebody knowing your name. Number 2 is to be proactive in sharing what you do. So don't wait for that opportune moment for someone to ask you specifically, getting to know you, hey, what do you do? No, wear a Shakeology t-shirt. Have your Shakeology cup. I used to take my kids to school every single day. I didn't like my shake during that time. I will tell you, I didn't like to drink it at that time, but I made sure I had my Shakeology cup. When I was on my way to pick up my kids from school, if I had a stroller, it was in the stroller. If I was carrying one, I was carrying it. Was it awkward sometimes? Yeah, kind of. Like maybe I just had water in there, but I wanted that because people see that. Whether they comment on it or not, people see what you're doing. So be proactive in that. Find little ways to share how you're doing, you know, how you're living your life. You know, so they know, so they it like incites those questions. Being a product of the product is more than just drinking your Shakeology and working out. There's that third part of it as sharing it. And that comes from your posts, that comes from, you know, you doing videos, that comes from you just going, you know, to a workout class or whatever it is you're doing. That sharing is like the third and essential thing for people to actually find out what you're doing. You could be doing all the right things. You could be, you know, muscles galore, like you could have it all. But if you're not talking about it, nobody knows what you're doing. Nobody's going to jump out and ask you. Like sometimes people are intimidated. So you have to just be proactive in that. And doing it consistently. You know, I've seen it before, and I'm sure you guys have too, but there could be, you know, coaches who are gone, crickets for 3 weeks out of the month. And then all of a sudden that last month, they're trying their damnedest to get people to join a challenge group. And all of a sudden they show up. The consistency is what's going to get people asking you questions. The consistency is what's going to get people commenting on, the work that you're doing. If you're posting about the program that you're doing and the Shakeology that you're drinking, when they see you in person, they already know that you're doing that stuff. They don't really need to ask to find out. So just staying on that consistently, make sure that you're sharing it, and then just expanding and becoming friends with those people you meet in person. And that comes with learning their name, finding out about them. Just like the conversations you have on Facebook Messenger, you're going to have them in person. You might be a little bit nervous, but you still have to do that. I talk a lot to my team about, speaking how you would normally speak to a friend. If you were so comfortable with someone, that's how you should be talking in your conversations on Facebook. That's how you should be posting. When you're posting, you're talking to that person, right? You're not designing this whole grand post, because 9 times out of 10 when you do that, they bomb anyways. And you're like, I spent so much time on this. It's wonderful, but that's not you. So you have to be very natural and just learn to be you and be confident in what you're doing and proactive in sharing that, and just making friends with those people and then drawing them over to social media. That is my third tip, is to bring them over to your social media account. Most people are on Facebook, and it's not creepy. I actually think it's less creepy to say, hey, are you on Facebook? And add them as a friend, than it is to say, hey, what's your number? Let's keep in touch. Or, hey, what's your email? People are on Facebook, and it's really non-invasive these days. It's very normal to use it as a networking tool. And if you find that's another reason you want to know their name, is because I've just gone and added people that come into my classes. I learn their names. I find them on Facebook. I might add them as a friend, and it's not creepy because they already know me. They see me on a weekly or daily basis. And once they're over there, because you're being a product of the product, because you're being consistent and you're proactive in sharing what you're doing, they're getting to know you. So it doesn't matter how many times a week you see them, they're getting to know you because of your social media account. So really, for me, the inviting process face-to-face kind of ties into them getting to know me via social media too. Now, I have had people that aren't on Facebook or really aren't onto social media, so you just have to nurture that relationship in the settings that you have. They probably have email, they probably have a phone, so you can probably text them. But you just have to gauge every relationship differently. But I do think that when you see people in person, it moves faster. And if you got a person and virtual relationship, I mean, it's like your BFFs overnight. Like, these people see you and they genuinely like you because they're getting to know you in person. So they're going to be on your page more, which is why it's so important to keep that consistency and sharing and being proactive. So the fourth tip is to find common ground. So I think a lot of times people feel scared to invite because they're not sure if that conversation is ready yet. And that honestly is different for every conversation. It's never going to be cookie cutter. Like, you're not going to meet someone and in 3 weeks, it's always going to be a good time to invite them to a challenge group. You have to get to know them. And you do that by finding common ground. If it's a fitness class, if you are trying to be an instructor, or whether it's the preschool that you're going to, comment on shoes, comment on the stroller. Like, there's always something about people that you can have conversation starters with. Just get to know them, be very genuine, and let your intentions guide your conversation. You're not, just like on social media, you're not meeting someone face to face and have the automatic intention of signing them up as a challenge backer as a coach that day. That might be long term. I mean, that might be in the back of your mind, but that shouldn't be the main driving force of your conversation. You want to inspire, you want to help, you want to be their friend, you want to be genuine, because when you're genuine, you learn about them. That's how that interest sparks. And when they see what you're doing, when you're sharing that with, like the shirt that you've got from, finishing P90X, or whatever it is that you're wearing, or the Shakeology cup that you have, or just talking about it, or someone says, hey, you're really fit, what are you doing? Tell them what you're doing. Don't shy away from that stuff. Whether or not you're a group fitness instructor, people still want to know. And it's not anything, you're not like, I don't know the right word here. You're not stepping on any toes, or you're not, doing anything wrong if you're supposed to be teaching a class, yet you're, talking about these home programs. People will come back, I promise. If you're genuine and you're telling them and you're honest with what you're doing, they're not going to go and say, hey, I'm going to go buy P90X from you, but so I'm not going to come back to your class. No, they're going to come back most of the time because they want you to see how well they're doing. They want, you as the instructor, they want to see that you see their progress. It becomes a really good give and back relationship. So don't ever be afraid that if you're in that setting or you're teaching a class that you're going to lose all of your people. No, they're going to come back because they trust you and they like you and they want you to see them. Okay. And especially if it's someone in the back. I've had people that are up front because they got so fit, fitter, they got, more confident and stronger. They moved from the back to the front because they wanted me to see how kick-ass they were at that time. So don't be afraid of that stuff. And then the fifth one is actually invite them. Once you learn their name, you're proactive, you got them on social media, you're getting to know them, you see them once a week, you're building that relationship, invite them, okay? Next time you're in that setting, or if you're in the classroom, or if you're at the school dropping off, whatever the setting is, their name, say their name. Hey, Ariel, I'm starting this fitness challenge, and I know we've been kind of chit-chatty about this. Do you want to check it out? Do you want to see what this is about? I've lent people my programs. I've lent them something just to check out, or I've invited them over for something. People want to see it firsthand, and honestly, when they get to know you, they trust you. So if they're either going to say face to face, no, I don't think I'm ready for this, but they're face to face. Like, they have to give you an answer. They can't just ignore your message. So they're going to tell you something, right? And it's not like you're cornering them. You're not going to, back them into a corner in the hallway, but just be very casual about it. And you can say you're nervous. Like, hey, I don't know if this is something you'd be interested in, but I'm running another challenge at the end of the month. I know you've seen a little bit of what I do on social media. Would you like more information? Do you want me to send you a video of the program that I think would be great for you when I get home today? Just getting those little bit of tidbits out there is what's going to help them want more information. And then when you put that other challenge group invite out there, like that hook that you put on social media, they're going to know what you're talking about. It all ties in together. So I really think that the in-person and the social media, it blends into one. Like there is no like this or that. It's like this. It's tied together. And then number 6, well, I already said it, is let your intentions lead your conversation. I am so 100% believe in this, that you should never, ever go into a conversation with the intention of having them buy a challenge back that day. Unless you already know, like, they're ready to buy, you can't go into a conversation like that. Nobody ever wants to feel sold to, and people can sniff that out a mile away. We have templates and we have those things to use for a reason, but I don't think that you should just always be copying and pasting unless it's a really good template. And it's like, there are times when you should and times when you need to tweak it, but you have to get to know that person and know their needs and know how to encourage them and know how your programs and what you have to offer, the tools that you're handing them, know how it's going to fit into their lives before they say it. When they say, you know what, I don't think I have time for this, you can combat that with telling them, something that you learned about them before. Combat that with what you learned about them, how you can encourage them, how you can help them figure out time. People always have an excuse, but if you get to know them, it's not like we're trying to get anybody or rope them in, but you kind of have that ammunition in your mind of how to combat that excuse. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. I talked really fast. Does anybody have any questions so far? No? Well, you're unmuted, so I can't tell you guys. Really, at the end of the day, though, I think that being face-to-face and looking someone in the eye, and that should be another tip, making eye contact. Okay, if you're talking to someone, you're like this, like, well, I kind of have this challenge group. They don't believe in it because it looks like you believe in it. You have to believe in what you're doing. And if you don't believe in it yet, you need to get your butt on a program. You need to start drinking Shakeology every day and sharing about how your life changes, because it will. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. If you're genuine and you're keeping all your priorities straight and you're leading yourself with integrity, people will join you. I have no doubt about that. Does that help?
Sarah, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So I think that you did a great job of basically telling people the same thing that we always talk about with, it's just important to build relationships, whether you're on a computer screen or whether you're face to face with them. You don't kind of want to just jump the gun and instantly invite them to something, but build and cultivate those relationships. But I am curious about do you think that your training and teaching your classes has helped your business? And have you ever met somebody yet who you've invited to the coaching opportunity as a result of them teaching classes or them being a personal trainer? And if, one of us are coming in contact with those people, kind of tips of maybe how you do that and how you do that well.
Yes. So I have 3 coaches on our team right now who have either been a group fitness instructor and then joined, or joined and then were inspired to actually teach. And I think that, like I said with this, that social media and personal relationship overlap. So does home programs and in the gym is totally overlapping. I think one of the biggest fears in terms of already being a trainer, already being a group fitness instructor, and then possibly being a Beachbody coach, I think that fear on their side is that they're going to lose people. They're going to lose people in the gym. They're not going to be able to focus on both. I've really kind of made it my mission to have them tie together. And I might be different in that mindset, but I really think that if I'm not sharing these other tools that I have to my class and to my clients, then I'm doing them a disservice. I have Shakeology in my arsenal to tell them about. I have home programs that they can work on, aside from training. Just because I'm training them, they might go back into the gym and still not to know what the heck they're doing. They might want to mimic what we do in our sessions, but I have people who have done home programs in combination with our training sessions. And then I have had people who are now just checking in with me one time a week and doing those programs for the rest of the week. So I think just showing that you're not going to lose people and showing there's another opportunity to help. You have so many different avenues being in the fitness industry, as a fitness professional and being a Beachbody coach. I have no limits right now, and I think that's kind of a sweet spot to be in, because you don't, if I'm just looking for clients at a gym, well, what happens if I'm low on clients? What happens if I don't have any new faces in my class? Because that happens. Sometimes your classes get stagnant. Not that it's not fun, but you might not have new people for a couple weeks. Then what? Then what do you do? Putting yourself on social media and learning how to market yourself, it only increases you as a brand. It's the same thing for personal trainers and fitness instructors. They should be doing this online too. And many times they aren't, because they don't really know about it. They're not in that mindset of using social media for business. But they should be. They should absolutely be. One thing that I can say is, if they're just fitness instructors, they're freaking tired. Okay, you wear yourself out teaching classes. I used to teach 14 classes a week, and my reach was so limited because I was only talking to the people in my classes, and that sucks. That sucks, you guys. We have so many tools at our fingertips to reach and help people. There's no reason that a personal trainer and a group fitness instructor can't be a Beachbody coach. So I think the key is helping them see that, and talking to them about that if they're in this to truly help people, they should be coaching, because you can reach so many more people. Who cares if they want in-home, in-person training versus a program? That's only going to help that side of your business. It kind of goes hand in hand. If one is going to increase, the other is going to increase too, because let's face it, not everyone is going to want to pay for training for the rest of their lives. You could get a good client that has you for a year, and then they're like, okay, I think I'm good on my own now. And then you got to go out and find another client. Now I wean people off of me. That sounds silly, but I have clients who are like, okay, I'm ready for something different. I'm not sure if I'm ready to just be on my own, but I don't really want to pay for training anymore. I get that. Training's expensive. So I talk to them about programs. They still have me every day. What people pay me for to meet once or twice a week is what I just sent someone a message today. So my in-home rates to do twice a week for a month is almost $600, you guys. $600 that someone will pay me to come train them in their house. Okay. But I can get them hooked up with a program with Shakeology, with checking in with me every single day for $140. $140. Think about that difference. And if you break it down for people like that, even trainers, if trainers see, look at the reach I can have, look at the potential here, they got to wrap their heads around it. Trainers are fickle people. Like if they start off training, you just got to get to know them, know what drives them first, and then help them see how their business can benefit from coaching too. Does that make sense? I talk a lot, so you can interrupt me if I go off.
No, that was good. And you guys, I did forget to mention, Sarah has just started her own business too, doing the in-home training. So that was actually a really good visual, a good thought there. Sarah, I wanted to ask you too, because you and I are very different in the aspect in that I have no desire to become a live instructor, but I do want you to talk about like who you think it's good for, because I think a lot of people assume they just could never be an instructor. So who do you think instructing is for? Who would be a good fit for that?
I think anybody can become a really good instructor, actually. I used to be so shy, like so introverted. I never, like speaking on this team call, I would have like sweaty palms. Like I couldn't do it. I would shake. I would forget everything I wanted to talk about. But this comes back to kind of putting yourself out of your comfort zone and just doing it. And I've become a huge advocate for that, which my team can attest to, because I'm always like, I'm going to rip your Band-Aid off today. But you just have to put yourself out there. You have to, if it's something that piques your interest, you should probably do it. If you like get, butterflies and goosebumps about the thought of like leading a class, like, oh, how cool would that be? Do it. Okay. Go get certified. Even if you get certified and it takes you 6 months to do it, learn your routine, like have fun with it, and just do it. I honestly think that anybody could be good if they put their minds to it. It's fun, you guys. Just don't wear yourself out like I did. That's probably not the answer you're looking for, was it?
No, that was perfect. Because I think a lot of people do get afraid that they couldn't do it, and I think you're right in that anybody could if you have the desire.
Yeah, I do think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I do think that if you're coaching first and then you decide that you want to go teach a class or get certified, there is going to be like a balance shift in where your priorities are, because you're going to spend time learning routines. You're going to spend some of your time, practicing your routines and then being in the classroom. So you have to remember that if it's something you want to do, you do it. But then always tie that back into your Beachbody business. Always tie that back into, how can I put this into action here? Because just because you're teaching a Beachbody format, people that aren't in our world don't put that together as, oh, well, she must be a Beachbody coach. Most instructors who are certified in our Beachbody formats are coaches, but they don't have to be. So I think just remembering that, like, you're going to go through a transition where you're learning a lot of stuff again. You have to allocate your time differently. But I think if you plan ahead, this is what I learned along the way, because when I first started teaching, I was exhausted because I didn't know how to allocate my time, and because I was teaching too many classes, but I didn't know what I was doing to manage my time. But if you know going ahead, okay, I'm going to have, a couple hours a day to do all of my work, because the majority, I don't know about your team, but like a lot of my team, they're still working their full-time jobs. If they want to teach on top of that, they need to restructure their schedule, and they need to make sure, okay, I have this many hours per week to work on my business. I'm adding something else into that. What is that going to take away from my business? What is that going to, you have to just manage your time really, really well, but also be sharing, and this goes back to being proactive about what you're doing. Share why you're inspired. What program inspired you to teach? For me, it was PiYo and Insanity. I'm so obsessed with Shaun T that I will teach anything that he puts out. So and share that. People want to know, like, well, how did you get so inspired by a home workout to go teach it? Well, because this is what it did for my life. This is what it did for me. And, you have to be sharing that part of it too. And it can be tricky because you can feel like you're abandoning, your original Beachbody business, but you're not. All you're doing is enhancing you. You're enhancing your brand. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that was perfect. Especially for those of us not obsessed with Shaun T.
How can you not be obsessed with Shaun T?
That's another conversation for another day. Mm-hmm. So any other questions? We got about 7 minutes, a little over 7 minutes.
Does anybody want to be an instructor and you're just not sure of any of it? You're not sure? You're just not sure if you want to do it.
So I never even knew that that was an option. Like, I didn't even know that that was something that happened with coaching. So it's good to hear your story and to hear that portion of it, or that piece of this whole business aspect. So thank you for sharing, because I didn't even realize that that was a possibility. And my interest has peaked. It's always been, I have a friend who is a personal instructor or trainer, and I was with her as she went through training and got certified. And it's always been something that I found fascinating and interesting, but I didn't ever put it together with Beachbody. So to hear you tell your story, I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thanks. I think it's what we talk about, like in our general trainings of like branding yourself and putting yourself out there. This only enhances you. Like your product knowledge will go way up. Like your knowledge, what you're going to be able to offer to your challengers, just increases. You're going to know the body, you're going to know your muscles, you're going to know your movements, you're going to know how to help someone modify. Like there's so much more that comes with it. Like all you're doing is adding value to yourself, and that's what you really want to do. Like if you want to be successful as a coach, you have to market you, because people in this, this goes back to like our general trainings, but like people aren't going to join you because of the awesome products. Yes, they're great, but they're going to join you because of you. So if you have more to offer, they have even more reason to want to follow you. Does that make sense?
And just so you guys know, because Sarah totally rubbed this in last year at Summit, you get a special little ribbon that flags you as an instructor. And there's a special section of the core, which is the shopping area that you get to do at Summit, that you can only go in if you're a live instructor.
I mean,
so
our swag is
Sarah like flashed her badge and like looked at us over her shoulder and walked in. So just so you know, there's perks. There's perks to everything in this business.
And an additional perk too, I think, is that because I was thinking of doing Turbo Fire or Turbo Kick this year, but if you choose to get certified, you can choose to get certified. You can search for local areas that are around you to go and attend a training. But if you choose to do it at Summit, a lot of the times that Beachbody trainer is training you. So, Shanti or Shalene Johnson, or they're the ones actually sort of like certifying you while you're at Summit. So for those of you who aren't going to Summit, especially this year, start planning for next year. And that could be something that you tack on as an extra day for yourself while you're there. So.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do that, but I've never been able to go that early on that Wednesday.
Yeah.
It is fun. At the end of the day, I think you just have to, if you don't love it, don't do it. Or if you do it and then you find out you don't love it, it's okay to not continue it. I think everything's going to fluctuate. Like there's going to be a time in your life where maybe you have the room to add that in, or there's going to be a time in your life where it's just too much. Like right now, I'm not teaching classes. I miss it. But my attention has to be elsewhere. So it's something that I will go back to, but it's also something that's always there. Group fitness instructors, like you can teach anywhere. You can teach anywhere you want. You don't have to have a contract. Just make sure you have insurance. It'll be good.
Yeah, I was going to share that too. There's actually a local coach by me that she teaches size and insanity in her shop. So definitely it is something that you can use as part of your business.
Mm-hmm. No, I think it is just part of like sharing you. It is really all about branding yourself. And if you have this piece of you, like that's what's going to help you stand out from someone else.
Perfect. Any other questions before we close it on down? All right. Well, thank you, Sarah, so much for talking to us. We sure appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, I will get this recording up in the team page, Sarah. I'll give it to you too so that you have it for your team. But otherwise, thanks for hopping on, guys, and we will talk to you later.
Thank you. Bye.